share you the link. It will automatically upload it on. It
What do you
will
say,
be
Starry?
upload.
It will
It
automatically upload it.
Yeah, it will be uploaded on a Dropbox, and I will share you the link.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
So, before starting with the actual course, let me just give you a brief background about Azure 900. So
Mm,
basically, Azure 900 is Azure fundamental examination by
yep,
Microsoft Azure. It
yep,
basically measure your general knowledge about Azure products, your cloud computing, how actually Azure work, what are its core components, how it operate them, what kind of cost it associated with those kind of components. So it
yep,
will basically check your knowledge around those topics.
mm,
Generally, the skills which is measured in these kind of concepts is revolve around three categories. So if you
yeah,
see here, the first one is describing cloud concept.
yep,
It will have questions from 25 to 30% of overall exam.
yep,
Then describing Azure architecture and its services, it will have a questions around 35 to 40%. And then the
yep,
third category is Azure management and governance. Now each category is further distributed with different set of skill set, you can say, or different set of concept. For example,
yeah,
in the first category describing cloud concept, they would ask you questions related to what is cloud computing, what is
mm,
shared responsibility, how what are cloud models, what is appropriate use of those cloud models, what is
yep,
consumption based model, what is pricing models. Then they would also ask you what is the benefits of high availability, what is the benefit of high scalability, then
yep,
what is reliability, what is predictability, what is security, what is governance. And
yeah,
they will also could ask you questions revolving around what is infrastructure as a service, what is platform as a service, what is software as a service. So
yep,
all these questions basically come under a single functional group called describe cloud concept. Then
yep,
you also have a describe as your architecture and services, where they will ask you question related to its core architecture components, such as
mm,
how many regions Azure has, what is its availability zone, how many data centers, what is data center, what is a kind of a regional center, what is availability zones, then what is a resource group, what is e-resource, what is subscription, what is actual hierarchy of resource group, subscription and management group. Then
yep,
it comes to its actual core services like compute and networking services, like virtual machines, functions. Then it also have desktops, it has web applications, it has VPN gateways, then it has virtual networks, then it has endpoints, private as well as public. So basically it revolves around those things. Then you can also see it also contain Azure storage services, like how storage actually work in Azure.
mm,
You can say how actually data get stored inside cloud, how the storage tier works, what type of storage you can use inside Azure, starting from a base storage like a normal storage you use in Google Cloud or any other drive. And then you can also have an object storage, tablet storage, or file storage as such. Then it will ask you about how you can move your files, how you can basically download those files, how you can make them cost redundance as well, how you can make them very cost efficient in terms of spending money on a monthly basis. Then question could also be revolve around your identity access and security configuration of Azure, like how you configure an active directory, how you configure active directory services for a single sign on, your multi-factor authentication, how external identity works, how guest access work in Azure, how additional access work in Azure, how what is role-based access. Then they would ask you what is the concept of zero trust. They would also ask you, the purpose of
mm,
depth of defense, like how many layers of defense Azure use for a security of your data. Then what is the purpose of Microsoft Defender? So it's a very important component in Azure cloud. So what is actual use of it, how you can leverage it, to protect your resources, your data, and your communication with outer world. Then
yeah,
the in under Azure management and governance, you will find questions related to cost management. Then it will also ask you to use a pricing calculator where it will give you some kind of resources values. You have to find the cost of it. Then
yeah,
you should also be aware of its cost management and billing tool. What is the purpose of tags, why we use tags, just like hashtag we use in a social
mm,
media website, same way we can also tag the resources. Then comes under governance and compliance, what is the purpose of Azure blueprints, what is the purpose of Azure policy, what is the purpose of resource logs, what is service trust portal. And then it will also ask you to describe what is Azure portal, cloud shell, CLI, PowerShell, what is Arc, what is resource manager, what is templates. So basically, the list goes on. If you see, it contains everything related to Azure on a basic fundamental levels. Now,
yeah,
if this is a Microsoft document. Now, if you see here, in this examination, they will only ask you about describing the things. They will not
yeah.
ask you to basically let them know how to deploy, what steps it involve. They will not ask you those questions. They will
Okay,
only ask you question related to what is availability zone. So you have to
okay,
tell them what is availability zone in multiple choice question.
okay.
They could ask you questions related to what is as your resource. So you have to tell
Yeah.
them any resource such as VM or anything. They will give you 4 5 option as in a description. You have to basically
Yeah,
choose them.
I was gonna ask. Sorry. So the AZ-900 would be all multiple choice,
Yeah, it will be multiple choice mostly.
and would
They
be, yeah, carry on.
yeah, yeah. They would either give you multiple choices, either there will be list down. For example, they would give you a list of options, you have to select the correct ones. They
Okay.
will also give you fill in the blanks. For example, they would give you some kind of blank. Let's say they will describe something and they say this is a service which is called, and they will give you 4 5
Oh yeah.
services option. You have to
Oh yeah.
select the appropriate service. And
Okay.
then the last, there could be one or two case studies as well. Case studies in the sense they would ask you question related to any industry standards or any best practices in terms
Okay.
of let's take an example. They would ask you that you have a virtual machine and
Yeah.
you want to basically retain that virtual machine for your 1 month or 2 month, and can you shut it down or can you delete it or like that. So basically they will ask you about use cases as well. So they will
Yeah.
also ask you a question as an example. They will say that you have a very important storage file, and there are 6 people working on that storage file, and you want to make sure that this storage file doesn't get deleted by mistake, even by you or anyone else.
Yeah.
What best method you will use, or what best service you will use to prevent that. So
Oh
in the answers they would mention, you can describe a security log, you can use RBAC, you can use policy. So appropriate answer would be, you can have a security log, you can log that resource to accidentally delete it. And even if someone has an admin access and he want to delete it by accident, it will not let it delete. So these kind of questions will be there. So this way,
okay.
so
I understand what you
yeah, so this way Azure 900 is a kind of Azure fundamental understanding. You have
mean.
to
Yeah.
understand all the fundamentals related to Azure in terms
Yeah.
of administrations, in terms of the usage, in
Yeah.
terms of functional knowledge, and in terms of
Yeah.
its services details regarding how many services it has, how
Yeah.
actually Azure environment works, how it
Yeah.
look and feel, how many services you have. So basically, during this course, we will not only use these services as an discuss these services over the call. I will also let you know by going on to Azure portal, where you can actually see those services, how those actually work. Because if you see those services, you try to do your hands on, it will be easier for to you remember how, what is the purpose of that service actually.
Yeah. I
Otherwise,
understand.
Otherwise, if it is only a theoretically class, you will be not be able to grasp as much as it actually required for AZ-900.
Okay, I understand. I was gonna ask, so would ASA 104 and 305 would they be more in depth of this?
Yeah, so AZ-104 is basically administrator.
Mm,
Administrator is required to not only have knowledge of those services, it will also require how to deploy those services.
okay,
And
that's
then
fine.
while deploying those services, you should also be remember all the steps involved in deploying that service. As an example, in AZ-104, they could simply ask you, you have to deploy a virtual machine and tell me the 10 steps to deploy it. They will give you
Uh,
steps in non-arranged model, and you
okay, they
have
have
to
to arrange
arrange
it.
it in a correct manner.
Okay, I understand.
Then in Azure 104, they will also ask you about the troubleshooting of that resources. They will ask you, see, your virtual machine or your web app is not accessible to outside world. What will you do? Can you check what
Mm,
is the issues? You have to, see the option available, whether you go for a monitoring logs, whether you go for, IP addresses, whether you go for the, port
yeah.
blockage, whatever the error they have given in the questions, you have to analyze that error, and accordingly you have
Okay.
to answer that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I understand.
So is and then when you go with AZ-305, that
Yeah,
is an architecture level. In that thing, they will give you a situation, a company problem, like I have a company or you have a company, you have
yeah,
20 users, you have 10 TB of data, you also want to use these kind of software, you want to use this software between 10 a.m. to 8 a.m.,
yeah,
Saturday, Sunday will be off. What kind of solution you will recommend? So accordingly, you have to suggest them the service. And
yeah.
in AZ-104 as well as in AZ-305 or any architecture level, there will be labs as well. Labs, not in terms of actual labs, they will ask you to perform anything, but
Yeah,
labs will be integrated inside, you can say, scenario based case studies, where
yeah.
they will actually ask you to input the actual
Okay,
details rather
I know
than
what you
they
mean.
will give you the options related to that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So that's the reason AZ-900 is a basic, examination to start with. Once you are very much familiar with the AZ-900 fundamentals, your cloud computing fundamentals, how actual Azure work, how
Yeah,
look and feel of Azure portal is, and then you further move ahead, you clear it. Once you have an understanding, you clear it, you start working with Azure portal, try to do your own things, come,
yeah,
have face problems, learn by doing only. And then when you have enough, kind of hands-on experience, then try to learn AZ-104. The reason AZ-104 is quite, you can say, a descriptive exam. It will not only allow you to understand that, but you also have to make sure that you actually understand the service, what
yeah.
kind of steps, how many kind of steps are involved in there.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Shall we start with the? We'll start. We'll go through the order
Let me
that you
show you,
showed me.
Maru. Alaikum salam. Yeah, yeah, that's okay. I usually leave.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, Anas, we can hear you. Yeah, it's fine. Just a moderator. Yeah, we're gonna go through the curriculum like you showed me on the Microsoft.
Yeah.
So
Up,
basically, oh yeah, we're gonna go through. What order we're
yeah.
going through?
Yeah. So starting with today's. So what we will do, the today's agenda would be, we'll be first of all have introduction about what is cloud computing, and then
Mm,
what are its benefits, what are its characteristics, what is actually cloud services, how, what is, Microsoft Azure, how its architecture and reasons are, what are its certification path, what is actually a subscription and account, like where you actually go and launch those resources, how you can get
yeah,
an account, what is actually happening in the background, and
yeah,
then the basic of Azure Active Directory, which is the first resource of, you can say, an Azure account, where as soon
yeah,
as you launch an kind of a particular as account in terms of portal.azure.com, you will
Yeah.
get an active directory where you can add users, you can collaborate with your colleagues, your peers, and all those kind of stuffs.
Okay. I was gonna ask. So is this all this would be today? Did you say?
Yeah, it will be today.
Okay, that's fine. So if you know the Microsoft document that you showed me earlier,
Yeah.
so what would today cover if that makes sense?
See, if you see here,
Yeah.
probably we will cover these as as of now. What is
Oh,
cloud computing?
that's what we're covering now. And then like the
Cloud
next few
concept.
lectures, these first few lectures, this is what we're gonna cover, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. It's because this is the actual Microsoft document. I just want to tick off certain stuff that I can that will cover if that makes sense. So
yeah,
we're starting off with okay, that's fine. We're starting off with the first part, yeah.
yeah. What is
Uh,
cloud computing? Okay.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
So basically, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing just delivery of various computing services over the internet. Let's take an example. Go back and go to traditional kind of environments.
Mm,
Imagine you want to launch a website. Okay,
mm,
in that website you basically want to host a website on a server.
yeah,
Now if you want to host that website on a physically server, you have to go to amazon.com or any other vendor to purchase that server physically. Okay,
yeah,
there is an upfront cost for that. You have to
yeah,
purchase it. Then once you place that order, it will reach to you in 2 3 months, 2 3 days, or maybe a
yeah,
week.
yeah,
Then once it is in your premises, in your company, you have to unbox this, then plug in into a power source, then
yeah,
install your software, your everything, and then you actually start building the software after three
yeah,
four days. And on the other hand, you have to pay an upfront cost, let's say 20,000, let's say 1,000, 2,000, or $3,000 upfront, so that you can actually start your website. Now
yeah,
that website will still not be live until you actually configure the network, you configure the basically outbound
yeah,
connection, you configure the ssl, you configure the security and all those stuff. So it will
yeah, yeah,
again take let's say 2 3 weeks to make your
yeah,
first version of your website live.
yeah,
Now imagine a thing where all these things you don't have to pay an upfront cost. You go to any cloud portal,
yeah,
you simply launch a virtual machine there, kind of a virtual server there.
yeah,
You configure everything with presets, templates, and as per your requirement.
yeah.
And within, you can say, a matter of minutes, your machine is ready. It will have internet
Your
connect.
virtual server, sorry.
Yeah, virtual machine
Okay,
is ready.
okay, yeah,
Your everything, your network, your servers, your software, everything will be ready. And
yeah,
within, after your requirement, you can start doing your actual deployment or development of your website or your tool within 2 3 hours, or maximum in a day.
yeah,
So in this way you save your lot of time for your team. Secondly, you don't have to worry about the physical security, physical electricity, physical deployment, and then third thing, you don't have to pay upfront. You don't have to pay upfront. The reason, in cloud
yeah,
portals, cloud service provider, they will charge you as per the time you actually use that virtual machine. Let's say you use that virtual machine for 3 hours in a particular day, and then
yeah,
came Saturday and Sunday and you haven't used them, and then you use it by next Monday. They will not charge you for Saturday and Sunday. They will only charge you for 3 hours. Your data will be safe. Your configuration, whatever configuration you have set on that virtual machine, that will be saved. But your charges will be only for 3 hours. You see how much
okay,
actual efforts, operation overloads, cost it is saving.
okay.
The,
I was gonna ask. So, can you just so the difference? So if you have like a physical server, of course you explained you have to buy the server, set it up, connect to the power, add your configuration, all that stuff. Of course, with the cloud, you could just go on maybe on Azure. You just buy a virtual machine or server, a virtual server, whatever, and you could configure it with templates that they have.
Yeah.
And can you just explain the costing again? Sorry. So the money you spend, the money they spend is basically for how long you use it. If that makes sense. Is it?
See, if you take a physical server, okay,
Yeah.
let's say this physical have 18 GB of RAM, then 4 cores, okay,
Yeah.
4 core of CPU. Now this
Yeah.
server will eventually cost you between 2k to 3k, okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
now
upfront. Yeah.
upfront cost,
Yeah.
okay, you
I
have to
know.
pay it, you have to pay it, then only you will receive this product.
Yes.
On the other hand, in a cloud model, if you see here, you launch a product here, and this
Yeah.
product will only be charged for, let's say, $2 per hour.
Okay. That's fine.
It is like pay per hour. It is like you are, you know,
Pay per hour.
paying.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
are
know what you mean.
paying. You are taking a drink from a, Starbucks. You don't have to pay for whole, their blenders, their mugs,
Yeah.
their kind of
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
sitting tables. You're just only
Yeah.
paying for the coffee you are drinking. So this
Yeah.
same way, you only have to pay for basically the hour you're using it. Let's say on Friday evening you launch your server. You used it for 3 hours. Saturday, Sunday, you haven't used it. It remain in hibernate mode. And then Monday again, you use it for 2 hours. So
Okay.
if you see here, the total cost for these 4 days will be
Yeah.
5 hours only. 5 hours into,
Yeah.
let's say, $2 per hour. You will be only charged $10 for
Yeah.
4 days. On the other hand, here you have been charged for 3000K upfront.
Yeah.
Even if you are
Okay.
using it, even you are
Yeah.
not using it, your money is
Okay.
gone.
Okay. Do you know? So with this website example that you used, because I mean, you're launching a website, would the server always have to be on? If that makes sense, because if the
Yeah,
server's not on, the website's not available. That makes sense. But
yeah,
you're still getting charged $2 per
correct.
hour, but server will always be on. You know what I mean? You can't just just turn it off Saturday, Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
See what I mean?
correct. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
that's the reason. So the popularity of cloud, why it is so popular these days, and why it is, basically getting more and more, being accepted within the organization, within the startups, within, any organization, be it small, large, medium size. The
Yeah.
reason, it will enable those organizations for faster deployment,
Yeah.
flexible resources, with economics of scale and innovation. Now
Okay.
imagine another situation here. Let's say you have a website, okay, your website is up and running, okay,
Yeah.
you have two instances. Let's say in scenario one, you have a physical server, your website
Yeah.
is running here, and imagine you hired a kind of, you develop a very good product. Let's say your product is very, very good.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is like instagram.com or let's say tiktok.com,
Yeah.
and people are, very much interested in your product. As
Yeah.
soon as it get viral, people from around the world are try to hit that website, okay.
Yeah.
Now as soon as, if you see, you have a physical server here,
Oh yeah. It's,
how
it's
would you
gonna get full.
cater all those needs?
Oh, those what? Sorry.
All those needs, you will not be able to cater all those needs here, huh?
Details, did you say?
Needs, like, for example, as of now you have one or two users. Let's say there are
Needs, did you say?
needs, then you have thousands
Oh yeah, because
users.
because you brought the server for not maybe not 1,000 users or
Yeah.
maybe for 100 users. You know what I
Now,
mean? It won't be able to handle it, so you can't scale it. Basically, this
yeah,
is just
you
trying to say.
can't scale it basically,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
Now
I know what
you
you mean.
can't scale it. Now let's say 1000 users are basically try to log in, they are not able to get their request, approved, because
Yeah, yeah,
your server is too busy.
too
Then
busy. Yeah,
on the first day itself, you see, out of 1000, only 100 people can get into that particular website.
yeah,
Your 900 potential customer will be denied. So the
Yeah.
next time they will not actually visit. They say this is a very
Oh,
slow website. This is not a
yeah.
good product. We will not be able to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you again try to actually upscale it or upgrade your physical server, you again have to go spend 2 or 3K upfront, get a new server placed just beside him, configure everything, copy the
Yeah.
data, make a kind of auto scaling group, then
Yeah.
configure it, and then do the DNS entry. So it will take you another 1 or 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you have in a cloud infrastructure, from day one, from day one, you can configure the auto scaling.
Yeah.
So even there is one user, it will cater to those requests. Even there are 1,000 users, it will cater to those requests. Even there are million users,
Yeah.
it will still cater to those requests. And on the other hand, you will be only charged for the compute power you actually use. For example, if at a particular time there are 3 servers are running in the backend, you will be
Yeah.
charged for those 3 servers. And if
Yeah.
there are 30 servers running, you will be charged for 30 servers.
Okay.
So this way you can see you can have economics of scale and innovation. So what is
Okay.
innovation? Let's say there is a new product. Let's say you have a physical server here and this is your cloud server. Okay.
Yeah.
In your physical server, there is a new product. Let's say, are you aware about open APIs?
Open. I'm aware of APIs. Yeah.
APIs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a new API launched by NASA where
Oh, yeah.
it will basically, ask you can use that API to integrate
Connect
with your website,
with the website. Yeah.
and it will enhance the, you know, capability of your tool.
Okay.
So if you see in physical world, but they have that this API should have separate. Uh, it required a separate compute power. It
Yeah.
required separate resources to actually run that this API.
API. Yeah.
They will give you SDK and everything, but you still have to basically require those things. Now here,
Yeah.
if you see, if you have a physical server, you have to basically incorporate that new technology. You have to
Yeah.
buy new things. Okay, you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
pay for those things. But here you can simply integrate,
Integrate.
take a new virtual machine, host that API on that virtual machine or
Yeah.
an app service, and simple make a connection between them so that they are on the same cloud and they are using each other services. So this way, this API will not consume the existing server resource because it has its own pool, and
Yeah.
this virtual machine will have its own resources pool. So this way you can use the innovation in a more effective way and
Yeah.
faster rather than you are using it on a physical side.
Yeah.
So this
Uh,
is the actual, see how the cloud computing is involved and how actually it is basically uh, come into picture and why it
Yeah.
is so popular, why people are trusting more
Yeah.
on cloud services.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I was gonna say just to cover this all these points. So, as you said, faster deployment would be as you explained, instead of buying a whole physical server from Amazon and adding all the configuration stuff, you could just I mean within within minutes set up a cloud virtual machine on
Yeah,
Azure. Innit? And for flexible resources, would that mean like of course servers? You could use a server storage networking.
yeah, yeah,
Is that what you mean?
correct. Let's say
Uh,
here in physical server you procure it with 1 TB of your hard drive. Okay,
okay.
in that 1 TB it is a physical hard drive. Now
Yeah.
here you can start with 1 TB, but you can attach as many as hard drive with this virtual machine as per your requirement, as per the need.
Okay.
On the
Okay.
other hand, if you see here 1 TB, it doesn't have any backup capability. You have not configured any backup here.
Okay.
You have to actually take a kind of a separate hard drive or a backup disk. You configure the backup policies and then you actually paid for this backup and do it. But here
Yeah.
you can
I
have
was,
flexible resources. You can
yeah.
set the backup policy. It will automatically get backup in different storage account where it will keep backup your all data. So even if your virtual machine got corrupted or it is down somehow, you will still have your data safe from day one. You don't have
Uh,
to be, wait for it to
okay.
be, replicate.
Yeah. Quick. I got a question. A quick question.
Yeah.
So so let's just say, of course, with the physical server, the physical server goes down. Of course, your website. Let's just say you host a website using a server or whatever, and if that goes down, of course, the website is down. But what about for cloud? Does it have like a you know what I mean?
See,
Does it have yeah
yeah, cloud is basically have multiple set of services. Cloud is not only VM or storage account. It has services like auto scaling group. It has a web application interface. It
yeah
has a kind of Azure CDN profile where
yeah?
it will automatically route your data as per the backend availability. Those things you will actually learn step by step.
That's fine. That's fine.
So as soon as you are aware about what is VM, how website work, then we will move to next step. For example, I will ask you, see, we have now we want to deploy security here. Which tool to be integrated with virtual machine? So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would say,
Yeah, I'm just getting too ahead in the class.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah. So
I know what you
everything
mean.
will be covered. Everything
We'll
will be
cover it.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my apologies, I understand.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
that's fine. I
Yeah,
actually like people, who are very much interested in learning to the extreme level, because
yeah,
people, because as I, interacted with you in like last 20 minutes, I have seen
yeah,
you are very much keen to learn, and you are
yeah,
very,
yeah,
kind of interested in getting things know.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. You know, with this Azure 900, I know there's a lot of people that will look over it because it's fundamental, and but
Yeah,
I understand this is like this is like the
it's
building
bread and
blocks.
butter. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
bread
have
and
to
butter.
understand this. I have to.
Everything. Yeah,
Yeah, because if I don't understand, it's basically like pillars. If I don't understand it, I can't build upon. I can't build. You know what I mean? With my AZ-104, AZ-305. You see what I mean?
yeah.
So I need
I
to
know.
understand. I
Totally,
need to
totally.
understand this. Yeah, that's fine.
So basically, it contains everything. So
Yeah,
if you see in Azure, it has, like hundreds of services. If I show you the services it contains, you will be amazed to know like how
mm,
can one particular person can, handle these kind of services. That's the reason it has a separate learning paths. It has separate roles. So
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I was gonna ask. Are you in any? Are you in a cloud role or are you?
so I am in basically cloud architecture and deployment role.
Ah, okay. So AZ-305 and above.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. Well
So
done.
now, thank you. So now, if you see here, why we actually use cloud computing, the reasons are pretty much similar. That it deploy faster, it has
Yeah,
flexibility, it has, very economic scale, and then it has very good innovation. So now, other thing here is, as soon as someone, let's say a new company, new product is getting launched, it will first come to cloud service provider. The reason, cloud service provider has a base of user which is very vast. You see here, Azure, this is Azure, it has millions of users, correct?
yeah,
So as soon as some new innovative product is launched, those companies try to launch that product in Azure or AWS itself.
yeah.
They prefer to launch there because as soon as they launch it, they have millions of user, potential user, which can actually will able to use that product and integrate with their service. As an
Okay.
example, I give you a simple example. There is something called a supply chain, correct?
Yep.
You might be heard about supply chain. So
Yep.
supply chain, there was some issue with the supply chain in UK last 3 4 months after Brexit, correct?
Yep.
So are you aware how it got resolved? Like after, let's say, 6 weeks or 7 weeks, because
Nope.
you were having issues with drivers. There was not enough drivers, correct, to deliver the petrol and all those
Oh
stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
Now you remember. So if you
Yeah.
see how it actually got resolved, let me give you an example around that.
Yeah.
See, there is a company called Lamasoft. Lamasoft is basically a supply chain kind of analytics company. So
Yeah.
what they did actually is they launched a product. They launched a product called Lamasoft Connect. They launched it, and they launched it on Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, as well as in open market.
Okay.
Now, Uber and these Uber,
Uber, yeah.
Lyft, and all
Bolt,
those
Lyft. Yeah, I
Bolt,
know you.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, same kind. This service is same like that. Now, what they actually did is they basically shared their APIs. Lamasoft shared their APIs
Yeah.
with Uber and then Lyft and any company want to use their APIs.
Yeah.
So what they integrate is they integrate the Lamasoft is basically supply chain management analytics company. So they
Yeah.
have detail about how many payloads are pending to delivered, how many drivers are required, how many actual kilometers need to be driven, where the truck is actually required, where the emergency is. So
Yeah.
these APIs get exposed to all those partners which are hosted here and here. So as soon
Okay.
as everything get exposed, that particular data is being shared with multiple, hundreds of companies. They
Okay.
take care of that data, and if they see, okay, our three drivers are free. Those three drivers are free, and those three drivers are free for 6 days, and these two payload will only take 4 days. Why not I assign these three drivers to these three payload? Let's book those payload. People book them, and this way they remove all the blocks, and one by one everything is cleared. So this type of solution has been provided within a
Okay.
weeks. You can say that it takes probably 2 weeks to develop them everything, expose the API, share it with people, and then people start accepting the orders.
Yeah.
Before Brexit, it was combined with Europe, but after Brexit, it started sharing for all those companies which are operating from US or UK. So
Okay.
this way, you get lots of driver from other companies rather than you have to hire it from outside market. You have to take immigrant from other countries like Asian
Yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
This way, you already have drivers which are sitting idle for a 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. So this
Yeah.
way, they accommodate everything together, they clubbed it together, and technology helped them to resolve actual issue which is faced by millions of people in a country. So
Yeah.
that's how innovation is helping lives of a people without people even knowing them or not, even they are
Okay.
aware or not.
I was gonna ask, what was that? What was that company? Llama. What was it called?
Lamasoft is basically a subsidy of supply chain management back company, something like that. Lamasoft.
Llama. Yeah, I can find it. I also want to look into it. That's fine. Okay, I see where you're coming from. So basically, they launched their whatever uh they launched it on the Azure cloud, and then all the companies that host on the Azure, which are millions of companies like Uber, like Uber and Lyft and other stuff like that. They have access to the API, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
and then they use the API, of course, to help to help their business. Basically, is that
yeah.
what you're saying?
So this
Okay, I
way,
understand.
they are earning extra money for their lying resources to be used here.
Yeah,
They are earning money because they have exposed APIs. Your government
yeah,
is, very much in relief because they are getting their goods to be delivered on a time. And
yeah,
last but not the least, citizens are also happy.
yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Perfect.
So this is how actual cycle of is basically being drawn here. So
Okay.
so this is a simple example, like you can say a very small example, even it doesn't make into any news or any big
Okay.
headlines, because these kind of problems are very common in third world countries, let alone
Yeah,
in UK. Probably this is the first time.
yeah. And it was it was crazy.
Yeah.
I
so
remember it was happening.
so this way, basically cloud actually help them. I will show you where people, there is a marketplace in
Okay.
Azure, AWS. There is a marketplace.
Yeah.
Marketplace is simply like a market where companies publish their product, their newly launched product, and people can simply get them and pay a price for their usage.
Okay.
This way they don't have to go to that particular website, buy it, log in, log on, pay the debit card, credit card. They can simply
Okay.
bypass it. They can
Oh
simply
yeah.
use any new innovation inside Azure cloud. I'll show you that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Now there are certain types of cloud models. If you see,
Mm,
the one
yeah.
is public, another one is private, and third one is hybrid.
Yeah.
So now, what is the difference between these three cloud models? So what is public cloud? Public cloud is a cloud where anyone, you, me, any third guy, any new company, new startup, they can use that cloud like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud,
Yeah.
and you launch your resources there. It is basically easy to use, and you can basically start developing your products. You only
Yeah.
pay for what you're actually using. Those are public clouds. So
Okay. I was gonna say sorry. Can you see the bottom? It says hide, hide. Can you see on the screen?
okay,
Yeah. Click hide, hide. Yeah. Click
now
on it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I can see now. Thank you. Thank you.
on the other hand, you have a private cloud. Now imagine you are a very big company. Have you heard about a company named Accenture?
Accenture. Yeah. I've applied for a few jobs.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
if you see in Accenture or any other big company, they also have a private cloud. So if you say,
Okay.
if you tell me, if you ask me what is a private cloud, imagine you are a very big company. You have offices across the globe, and
Mm,
you have very sensitive data in terms of your employee information, your client information,
yeah.
your contract information. And although you want to use public cloud for its innovation and everything, but you still required you know some projects, or you can say some departments, to be only keep their data, deploy their application, their inside application, which is being only used inside that organization worldwide, to be deployed in house. Now,
Yeah.
in that case, a company, an organization can procure an hardware. They can set up their own data centers. They can set up everything inside their own premises and
Yeah.
configure everything just like public cloud. But that cloud, that only provides services to employees of that particular organization. For example, in Accenture, if they want to develop a website related to payroll management
Yeah.
or timesheet management,
Yeah.
they would ask those particular project owners to, rather than going with the public cloud, go ahead and use our private cloud resources. So they will ask, they will go to their private cloud website, just like like uh, Azure and all. They will have the private cloud. For example, Accenture private cloud is a thing.
Yeah.
Then they will go to apc.accenture.com. There they
Yeah.
will vent, and they will basically deploy their resources, deploy their website there,
Yeah.
and it is being managed by their internal staff. That is called private cloud. Now
Mm,
imagine if you are a company and you have a requirement to use public cloud as well as a private cloud. In this scenario, how you actually club those particular cloud together to make them work for your deliverables, that is
yeah.
called a hybrid cloud. Give you an example. Let's say you have a company in Europe.
Yeah.
In Europe, there is a law which is a very famous law. It is GDPR, where you don't have to
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know what
move
you mean.
data. Okay, you don't
Yeah.
have to move your data outside from Europe if users are from Europe.
Yeah.
Now let's say you have a company in Europe, and you're a startup company. You develop a healthcare application where it connect you know biggest hospital around the world to
Yeah.
European users, and it will give them the cheapest package available for their issues, for their treatment around the world, be it in Turkey, India, West Indies, South.
Oh. Okay. I know what you mean.
Now let's
Okay.
say that
Yeah. Carry.
application required to be connected, to be display information throughout the world with different hospitals, different, doctors,
Yeah.
video calls, everything. So in this case, that company will use their database services in their on premises cloud or on premises servers hardware, so
Yeah.
that the data will remain in Europe only, but their front end, like their web application, their API communication, their interfaces, their images, their document
Yeah.
storage, they will host those things on public cloud,
Yeah.
and they will create a connection between that public cloud with your on premises thing, that is called a hybrid cloud.
Okay.
Another example of hybrid cloud is, let's say you have a office, correct? You have a single
The mic.
office here.
Yeah.
Now you have a single office and there is two printers, okay?
Yeah.
Two printers and there are 10 users.
Yeah.
You also have account on Azure as well.
Yeah.
Now those two printers are connected with a print server, okay,
Okay.
where it take command from these 10 people and
And then of
forward
course
here
forward to
and
printer to print out. Yeah.
to printouts.
Yeah.
Now imagine that server goes down,
You can't print.
you can't print,
Yeah.
and then as a system administrator, you figure it out that, oh, I forgot to place a physical server order because the power supply is down. That server is absolute. I have to
And
procure a new server.
you have to
Then
wait till.
you have to wait till 10 days, 15 days. So there is a new idea in your mind because you learned Azure. You said, oh, there is an Azure account which is unused. Why don't I launch a virtual machine here?
Yeah.
I launch that virtual machine, configured printer and everything, and I
Yeah.
just create a direct connection between them with
Yeah.
my office network, so that
Yeah.
this VLAN will be extended to this particular virtual machine.
Mm.
Are you aware about private VLANs and all those stuff?
Yeah. I don't see CNA. I'm aware of
Yeah,
VLANs.
that's
Yeah.
perfect, buddy. So
Yeah.
now if you see, it will be act like a private VLAN for these printers.
Yeah.
So people who will send a command to print server, it will go there, then it will send these to print. Now imagine if that person could go out somewhere and it has some files and that print server is here.
Yeah.
If you create a virtual VPN,
Yeah.
point to site VPN for all those users, they can
Yeah.
also give the command to printer from anywhere in the world. They just
Yeah.
simply connect to, they will part of that VLAN and they will give that command, it will get print here.
Yeah.
So that's how a hybrid connection works. So in hybrid connection, hybrid cloud connections or hybrid cloud models, generally it is required to connect Azure cloud with your on premises infrastructure
Equipment. Ah.
through
Yeah.
VPN tunnels, direct connections, or any kind of MPLS connections, or any kind of point to point tunnels. So basically
Yeah.
that's how you club them together to be. So this way, this Azure VPC, virtual private network of this Azure,
Yeah.
will act like subset of your overall network.
Okay. Okay. It's not like It's like, yeah, hybrid as you said. It's not.
Yeah, hybrid.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
So this
Okay.
way you can save your cost and still use, all the benefits of cloud. So now if you see
Okay.
any enterprise which is very large, or enterprise which is, use very good standards, they generally use hybrid clouds.
Okay. Okay. I know what you mean.
They have some servers like their backend servers in terms of their database. They
Yeah.
keep their servers inside their premises, their Active Directory, their anything, their Outlook data. They keep inside their own premises, which is called, on prem, and anything related to computation, their supply chains, their visuals, their application, machine learning models, they use cloud. So they are
Cloud. Okay.
getting
Yeah.
best of both of worlds.
Yeah.
So this is basically the major difference and major part how these cloud models actually work and
Okay.
how you can use them in which scenarios.
Yeah. Can you do? Sorry. Can you just compare between public and private? What would be the difference between those two? So I understand hybrid is where you combine on-premises infrastructure with cloud, as you said. You know what I mean? So the
Now,
printer example you want, but between public and private, is it
see,
like
public cloud are the cloud like Azure, AWS. These
okay,
are straightforward public cloud. Okay.
okay, yes, and private would be
Private would be a cloud. Let's say I am an organization here. Okay.
yeah.
I have three teams.
Oh, okay. I understand it now.
I
You carry on.
set up my own data center here.
Yeah,
I keep 10 servers here, 20 servers here. I
yeah,
connect with network, storage accounts.
yeah,
So these teams will, rather than going to a public cloud, I
yeah.
instruct them to use these private servers and pay me only hourly basis. Okay.
Okay,
So this way, they are not going outside the company premises resources. They are
okay.
using intranet.
Intranet. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. So basically, the actual data centers is owned by
y-
the company, basically.
Company itself. So the
Yeah, but
main
it's yeah, that's fine.
private clouds are operated within the intranet,
Yeah.
where public is internet.
Okay. Yeah, but would then so with private cloud would that not be the same as you know what I mean on premise, but the difference is actual servers is not on premises is 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 is
Yeah,
somewhere else if that makes sense.
yeah. So
Because the company itself is actually like as you said before, at the start of this lecture, you said you can set up your cloud Azure within minutes or like in an hour you can set it up, everything will be ready for you. But
yeah,
with the private cloud, the own company has to set up their own data center, you know what I mean,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
still upfront cost if that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, why they want to, make upfront cost for private cloud? See,
Security.
yeah, security, very good. The reason, data is most important thing in an organization.
Yeah.
Any organization, if it can't, keep safe its data, that organization will not run on a, kind of very good space.
Yes.
If your data is compromised, your whole reputation is down.
Yeah.
So some companies where they have very highly confidential data, let's take an example, a big example. I own a company named ABC. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that ABC company has a contract with US Pentagon. Okay.
Ooh.
In that,
Yeah.
I have to basically, use their data
Yeah.
to basically, s- run some analysis and reports and let them know what is the insights about that data. So
Yeah.
I have that project. So US Pentagon will ask me that I should not host their any of product related to their working to any public cloud because
Okay.
it's highly sensitive and very secure data. It
Yeah.
required very high clearance. So as an
Yeah.
ABC, I will make sure, first of all, I will, develop a data centers, 3 or 4 data centers. I will deploy the servers as per the, you know, data I have. I
Yeah.
will deploy the storage, backup capacity, network capacity, everything. And
Yeah.
then I will start working on that project. This way, if you see, US Pentagon doesn't have any budget constraint.
Yeah.
Their only constraint is data security.
Yeah.
So Rather than going with the public, they will choose private cloud. And if you
Uh,
see, for US government, Azure as well as AWS, both has deployed their own private cloud for them.
oh, okay.
So Azure has their separate data center for US government. AWS has their separate data center for government. Even
Okay.
Chinese government have Azure separate data centers and
Okay.
AWS. In those data centers, only government projects are being hosted. No other particular person
Yeah.
can host or use those resources. Even
Okay.
the actual portal, the portal for general public is portal.azure.com, but for US government they have different addresses which are
Different address.
not
Yeah.
known to general public as well.
Okay.
So that's the reason private cloud are basically hardware owned and used within a single environment, where you can
Yeah.
create a cloud environment in your own data center and use over intranet. See,
Intranet. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because if someone want to try to access it from outside world, let's
They
say
can't.
from internet, they can't even ping it
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because those ports are not allowed.
Mm,
even
yeah.
they
It makes
don't
sense.
Even they don't provide any public IP address to those resources because it's internet, so they will use private IP addressing.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. I understand.
This way
Thank you.
they can, although there will be more cost, but for security reason, for other reasons, they could actually
Yeah.
use them.
Yeah. I understand. Thank you.
Okay, so these are three different types of cloud models.
Yeah.
So now hold on. So now if you see here, uh, cloud computing, what are the cloud types and
Uh,
what are its appropriated use for each cloud models? Okay.
the cloud model. Oh, you talk about public, private, hybrid. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know you
Yeah,
mean. Okay.
hybrid,
But
public.
in the exam, they are, of course, they'll give you, you know what I mean, different scenarios. You just have to understand, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Okay.
So they would ask you, let's say, they would simply ask you, I give you an example that let's say you have something called a web application.
Yeah.
In that web application, a company want to use to store their data very securely, but their front end, like their WebEx graphics, their logos, their animations, their GIF files, that could be on open internet. What type of solution do you recommend? Now, if you
Would
see,
you?
there is something
Yeah.
called securely and very highly sensitive. You simply put it together that they required hybrid model. If they said that everything need to be very secure, then you say private cloud.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So with private cloud means basically everything has to be like very secure, like no internet access, just I mean
Just
intranet only.
yeah,
Okay, that would be private. So and public would be like what kind of scenarios would they give for public?
yeah. For example, let's say this is your web application. Okay,
Yeah,
this is your front page, like google.com. Okay,
yeah,
now this front page will generate some CSS file, HTML files, okay,
yeah,
some images,
yeah,
logos, and everything.
yeah.
And but it is connected to a database, correct?
Of course, it's, server. Yeah, yeah, I know you mean.
Database where it store all the username, passwords, then history, then everything. Now,
Yeah,
if you get a question that this data need to be secure on a promptly basis, and this
promptly basis. What do you mean? Like,
promptly basis mean it has to be secure at any cost.
okay, okay,
You can't expose this data directly. Then
okay,
it should be, you know, on a
hybrid.
hybrid model.
Yeah,
If they say whole data need to be protected and it should be, not exposed to internet,
okay,
then it only goes to private cloud.
okay,
And trust me, you will only get question related to hybrid or, private cloud. You
private.
will not
public. You
get
want to get
yeah,
public.
you won't get public because public is a by default.
Okay, okay.
That
Public, like, just, could you just give me just quick example of public? What would it be? I just want to know.
let's say I'm in a new company
Oh,
and
yeah,
I want to launch a website related to trainings, udemy.com or something like that, where I just want to deliver courses. Someone
yeah.
can, simply book the calendar invite and purchase courses from me. I
Okay,
can. Why would I, required a private cloud, or why would I require
okay.
information to be stored inside my private servers? I would
Yeah,
simply go on Azure. I will
yeah.
choose my application size. I will deploy my application there, and I'm good to go. I will
Okay.
have my website, and I will, simply market my website in different
Yeah,
countries, and that's
I
it.
know what you mean. Unless you want your, of course, your application for the user to create an account, and if they have username and passwords, and then you start using hybrid, if that makes sense,
Yeah, but that
right?
is also that will also be never in all cases. Let's see, these cases related to hybrid and private, these are very specific cases.
Okay,
Let's say if there are 100 application, out of 100 application, 80 application will be on public cloud only, 15
okay,
application will be on hybrid,
okay.
and only 3 or 4 or 5 application will be on